I don't want to do either of those things.
Yeah, but if you had to, though.
We set the scene, we had the choice. We already decided on all the correct answers. I was Kyle.
And I was always Nathan.
And this is If You Had To, though. Nathan, this podcast has been documenting our lives for an entire year.
Yes, it is a auspicious occasion. I definitely used that word correctly, and I'm not going to look up what it means, actually.
We don't need to. We're always right 100% of the time.
Exactly.
Like, after a year, people should know now that we're always
Whatever
right.
we say is correct, exceedingly correct.
And we'd like to welcome all of our fans to our One-tenial.
It is the celebration of 1 year of complete sense and wisdom and excellence to all mankind.
Excellence to all mankind. That's like a Bill and Ted.
That
Be
was
excellent
where I
to
was
one
going
another.
with that, yeah.
Is it because they've got a third movie coming out soon?
That might be it. Although, to be honest, be excellent to each other is kind of always stuck in my brain anyway.
Well, it's good advice to live by.
It is.
So the premise of this show is usually that we create scenarios for each other, resulting in two possible outcomes. We usually discuss the outcomes, pros and cons, and decide definitively on the correct answer. But we've done it all.
We have come to the definitive correct answers and just lived a life of pure wisdom and excellence.
Yeah, so for our One-tenial, we thought that we would basically go through the previous episodes, because a lot of people listen to this and they say, well, no, surely your lives can't be that interesting. You don't live such lives of Riley, you know. But it's all...
Don't live such lives of Riley.
I didn't know what I wanted to say.
I don't know what you wanted to say. Everything we have done, no matter how much it contradicts each other itself, is the truth.
Yeah.
Just like the Bible. Even better. I'm saying that right. That's the first fact of the episode. This podcast is better than the Bible.
I doubly agree on that. I'm going to double down. Yes. And people ask, like, you know, how can you become a fish man one week and then you're president of Iraq the next? Well, that's what we're going to explain to you, and we're going to go through and basically explain how all these things came to be.
Because
And
apparently the fans don't seem to pick up on the obvious reasons why it would all connect and make sense, and they need us to spoon feed and explain to them how we can be murdered one episode and then the next be dancing on a hilltop.
Exactly. We need to talk in our simplest baby voices to...
Dumb it down for all you idiots.
Yeah. So
But join us, won't you?
But I thought, Nathan, we'd recap our origin stories, because obviously people want to know, you know, where these podcast gods came from. Humble beginnings. Well, as everyone knows from the older podcast, when Nathan was born, a doctor slapped him across the face and predicted this very podcast into being.
He pulled me out, slapped me across the face, looked me in the eyes and went, "My God.
You are one part of a two-part duo." he was very weirdly spoken.
Go forth and find the other, and
Find the other that has the other half of this medallion. And he gave you a medallion, and probably, I assume, whatever happened to me.
His twin brother had the other half of the medallion and had given that to you.
Exactly. His twin brother was another psychic who was looking out for the other podcast.
Yeah,
god.
just your classic pair of twin psychic brothers, doctors.
Yeah.
Psychic twin brothers. Twin psychic twin brothers. That's definitely it.
That sounds like a good TV show. Psychic twin brothers.
That really does.
So that was my origin story. No, that was your origin story. What was my origin story, Nathan?
Your origin story. Well, as we've already established, one of the twin psychic doctors gave you half of a medallion and told you to go forth and find the other.
Yeah.
But before that, you were born in the heart of a star, and out of that supernova emerged a molten rock that hurled through the cosmos for millennia until it finally reached this pale blue dot, landed into the ground, and split open from a meteor was a tiny little baby. And you were found and raised by a kind loving pair of wolves dressed as nuns.
Yes.
And
Yes,
they
I remember Sheila and Brian well.
Oh, Sheila and Brian, they were so sweet. They after they chewed your leg and they decided that you weren't worth eating, they decided to raise you as their own. And obviously they then took you to a hospital, which is when the twin psychic doctor brother.
Of course, yeah.
That's when he told you, and that's when he gave you the other half of the medallion and
Yes.
told, go forth and find him.
And I mean, we didn't for a little while. I mean,
No. The longest time we had no idea. For the longest time we didn't even remember because we were babies, so it's kind of pointless for the doctors to tell these things to us when we were babies. Because I don't know about you, but I don't remember day one of my life. So I just had this half a medallion in my room for ages. I just didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, so did I. Like, I knew I was always destined to be something great. If only I could find the other person who owned the medallion.
If only I could find the one other person that thinks I'm funny.
Exactly.
My whole life, everyone told me that I was weird and why are you like this? What is wrong with you? But I knew one day I'd find the one.
Well, when you were a child, you were a very kind-hearted child to begin with. You would rescue birds that had fallen out of their nests. You would...
I would tend to the plants and the bees.
Yeah, you would bandage up badgers' legs when they broke them.
Yes, and I even found a kindly injured eagle and befriended him, brought him back to health. And then a coconut fell on my head, and I threatened to murder him if he ever betrayed me.
Yeah, and that's where your orphan abuse and puppy murder lust came from.
Yeah, because
a simple coconut.
Recapping a fact. That's kind of the theme of this episode is recapping. So we might repeating some facts. Coconuts make you evil. That is just a simple fact.
100% accurate.
Mm-hmm. Ask your doctor.
But then
especially if he's a twin psychic doctor, he'll know.
But then we finally met in college, and you rushed up to me, grabbed me by the lapels, and you said, You didn't even know my name. You just looked at me and said, You are the beautiful moon.
And and you similarly said, at last, you're here. You can help me. I've always wanted to be the male Snow White.
I did say that.
I know that you can help me achieve that.
Yeah, then we both lifted up our pendants and gazed at each other in awe, and we put them together, and it said the words, if you had to, though.
Exactly.
We didn't realise what it meant before.
It appeared above us in fire.
Yes.
And,
the earth shook. Locusts fell from the sky.
We heard a bellowing laughter emerge from the centre of the earth.
Yeah, and we knew what we had to do. And 8 years later...
Exactly, but first I wanted to finish my college and university education.
Of course.
Before embarking on our mystic quest, apparently from the devil himself.
So everyone knows our origin story and the origin of If You Had To, though. So, let's get into this. So, do you want to cast your mind back to a whole year ago, Nathan? I mean, this only really started because I wanted to tell the crazy story of, the things that happen to us on a day-to-day basis. And,
you're tired of people not believing us when we told them all the things that happened to us. So we knew that recording it and putting it out online would definitely prove it to be true.
Exactly. So it all started really when Nathan wolf whistled at a gangster's sister, Don Mariachi, and he got kidnapped, and he was given the choice of either having a penis tattooed on his face or fighting a rabid kangaroo. And Nathan obviously opted to get a penis tattooed on his face. The obvious answer.
The absolute obvious answer, and we urge everyone out there to do the same thing when you're kidnapped by a mobster who is going to threaten you with a kangaroo.
I don't think anyone can dispute this. There's no problem, no inconsistencies here.
No controversy here.
No. Did you ever get that lasered off, or did you keep it?
I tattooed over it to make it look like a beautiful flower that has a penis emerging from inside of it.
Okay, so...
It's a field of flowers, but if you look closely, behind the flowers is something unfortunate. No, above the flowers, I've got "I love you, Mum." I thought that would disguise it, but no, it made it worse.
So there's nothing wrong with this so far. Nathan's got a flowery penis tattooed on his face that says "I love you, Mum," and I was in need of cash, I think. around that time.
You were in need of cash. You were desperate for cash because you had blown it all on your debauchery lifestyle of sex, drugs, and Pokemon cards. Constantly going down to the casino, betting it all on Salamander. Is that what one of them is called?
No.
I'm sure there was one called Salamander.
You've got Sandshrew or Charmander.
Oh, right. Is a salamander an actual animal, isn't it?
Believe it or not. First, another fact for the episode, a salamander is a real animal.
So, yes, you were constantly down the ponies. That's it. It was a Pokemon racing track that you kept going down on and betting all your money. So you were in desperate need of some money, and so you had to. You went to was it a doctor's office?
It was Professor von Schmergelschwitz.
Ah.
It's funny. Over this past year, I have been to a lot of doctors or professors.
So yes, you desperately needed some money, and you knew the best. Well, you heard rumours of this benevolent figure, Professor von Schmergelschwitz. He was testing an experiment of either giving you intense electrical pain whenever you go to the bathroom, or it would make all things taste of Play-Doh. You know, a common scientific pursuit, as we've always known.
Yes.
And Kyle chose the intense electrical pain whenever he went to the bathroom, and I think that's a choice that he's happy with even to this day.
Oh yes, yeah. Every time I go to the toilet now, intense electrical pain shoots up me.
A lightning bolt shoots out when he's going for a pee.
Yeah, it is extremely painful, but at least I don't have a flowery penis tattooed on my face.
That is true. But your actual penis is being cooked from the inside like it's in a microwave.
Yeah, coincidentally enough, it does look a little bit like a flower because it's become so puffy and engorged. And I did get tattooed just above I love you, Mum, as well. So, you know.
And also, you know when those electric orbs that you put your hands on, it makes your hair stick out?
Yeah.
That's what the hairs in that area look like.
Exactly.
They're just fully extended.
Oh yeah, I've got a full afro.
And they're white. They've all gone white.
Oh yeah, it's very unusable, but...
It's unusable. It's purely decorative at this point.
It is. Well, like I say, it looks a little like a flower now, so quite beautiful, really.
And what did you do with that money, by the way, Kyle?
What did I do with that money? I think I spent it all on chocolate bars and hookers.
Right, yeah, obviously. The two things you love to do together. And you paid the hookers to eat the chocolate in front of you.
Well, yeah, I couldn't do anything with the hookers. My penis was ruined.
But you were just sitting there watching them eat, going, yes. Enjoy the nuggety goodness.
Oh yes.
I don't know why your turned on voice is evil madman who wants to destroy the world. Yes, it's all coming together.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out later on in the episode. So then the following week, Nathan was out on a camping trip when he was abducted by stoner aliens.
I was on a camping trip alone because I have no friends. I need people to understand that part.
Yeah, he has absolutely zero friends. But they offered him either the head or body of a cow, and Nathan chose the cow head.
I did a cow head, a human brain, my brain specifically,
yes.
Not someone else's brain. So it's still me. I just happen to have a beautiful cow head. And like Kyle's suggestion, I have an excellent career licking stamps. Because apparently that's something cows are very good at.
So you can forget the last thing that happened to Nathan because he doesn't have that head anymore. He has a cow's head.
Yes. So I did get the tattoo removed because I had the head removed.
Yeah. In a way, you got it removed. So yeah, imagine now me getting electrocuted through the penis every day. Nathan has a cow head. See, everything still makes sense. No one can dispute it. What was I doing that week, Nathan?
That week, the week that I got abducted by stoner aliens.
Yeah, I think I went to see another doctor, didn't I?
You have a lot of doctor's visits, Kyle. I have to admit, it's a good thing that we have the NHS because if you had to pay for all of this, you and your entire family would be bankrupt.
If this podcast isn't promotion for the NHS, I don't know what is.
Because once again, you found yourself in need of a doctor. You had crashed your car while juggling diamonds and uranium.
I had.
And your hands were mush or jelly. And you were given the option to either have them replaced with...
Do you remember the name of my doctor, Nathan? I remember the name of my doctor.
I don't remember the name of your doctor. No, please remind me.
My doctor's name was Dr. Von Trust Me, I'm Trustworthy Von Vuss.
Well, with a name like that, how can you not trust him?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I base all my decisions on when I go to a doctor, what their name is. Like, oh, well, you want to have a look at my qualifications? No. What's your name?
That will tell me everything I need to know.
Dr. Smith, that's not exciting enough.
Oh, we know that you don't like doctors with normal names, Nathan.
I don't. I really don't. I hate
You
them
wouldn't
all.
trust them.
I know. I wouldn't. If a doctor walked up to me and they were just called Dr. Brown. Well, actually, that's the time traveller, isn't it? Emmett Brown.
Doc Brown. Wow. You wouldn't trust Doc Brown.
No, I specifically hate Doc Brown.
There you go. Another fact for the episode.
So, Doctor, trust me, I'm a trustworthy Von Fuss the third. We didn't mention he's part of a lineage, a proud lineage that goes back at least the last 30 seconds.
Well, he's like the Nurse Joys in Pokemon, where there's like one in every town.
He is one of the twin psychic doctors.
Oh, so I probably remembered him.
We say twins, but we actually mean not quadruplets. What's the term for a billion? A billion identical twins.
Billuplets?
Billuplets, yeah. Billuplets, and they all went into medicine, but
Yes.
different fields of medicine. And some were adopted by different families. So every time that we've dealt with a doctor, it's that same twin, but they might have different names.
Just for the future. So this is all definitely a fact.
So this all definitely connects, and that connects all of our doctor experiences into one in a seamless, organic, natural way.
So what did this specific doctor do to me, Nathan, to fix my hands?
He gave you the option to replace your hands with the only two things he had available to him, buckaroos, or
Yes.
go-go gadget, ninja throwing stars, spatulas, spoons, and other kitchen utensils that you could transform your hands to at will.
Yes. So, I think I remember what I went for, but I mean, you remind me.
It was a tough choice, really.
It was a
'cause you
very
had
tough
to
choice.
Think over the pros and cons, and like,
You know, awesome hands that could do absolutely anything, or a shitty kid's toy.
yeah, you had to think over all the things you could do with a shitty kid toy on your hands. Like, you could play with that toy, or pick things up very awkwardly, or move your hands around to go neigh, because they look like horses.
I could have done that. I could have put on puppet shows.
Yes.
But I didn't, did I?
But for some reason, you did not choose that option, even though that's clearly the option that you should have gone for, and I'm forever ashamed of you, and I don't know why we're still friends, because you clearly chose the wrong answer.
Yeah.
But you chose the transforming ninja throwing stars, spoons and spatulas, and I believe we went into a double act, me with a cow's head and you juggling ninja stars and spatulas.
Yeah, so Nathan has a cow's head. I have throwing star and spatula hands, and it makes it even harder when I go to the toilet. Because one, it hurts, and two, I can't use my hands.
Yeah, because if you have to hold yourself in place, then a full electric shock goes through your hands.
Yeah. But yeah, so it still all makes sense. Perfect sense. So then the next week, Nathan, you were sunbathing naked.
I was lying there naked with my magnificent body and my cow's head,
Yes.
just soaking in the sun.
When your cantankerous neighbour, Mr. Winters, the young old man with the glorious moustache.
It's glorious. I mean, I can't grow a moustache, especially now that I have a cow's head. But before I had a cow's head, I could not grow a moustache, especially not one as magnificent as that. I feel like he's lording it over me, the little bastard. That's the real reason why I stole his newspaper.
You stole his newspaper.
Hates him and his moustache. When I say hate, I'm pure jealousy.
So what he did is he took a photo of Nathan and he sent it to Nathan's mum.
Yeah, because that seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah,
it could have gone to everyone I worked with, and
he did say he would send it to your crush Frank at work, but you decided against that.
Beautiful, irredeemable bastard.
What did Frank think of your new cow's head? Was he impressed or not?
Well, I mean, he never knew any different. I started that job after. I'd always working there, actually, but he didn't notice me until I had the cow's head, so it actually helped.
Oh, that's good.
He stand out in the office. Before then, I was just like, I had to look at my name at the desk and go, oh, Nathan, can you help with this? But now they're like, hey, cow freak. Endearing nickname that all the people at work who definitely like me gave me.
Yeah, and Mr. Winters sent this picture to your mum, and she didn't have a clue what it meant because you were just a guy with a cow's head. She thought, I don't know who that is.
Exactly.
Deleted the text, and everything was fine.
Worked out perfectly. I mean, it does mean whenever I've had to meet up with my mum since, I've had to wear a latex mask of my own face over a cow's head. It has kind of stretched the latex mask out a little bit. In fact, the latex mask doesn't fit over the cow's head, so it's kind of tearing apart in certain areas. My mum only screamed for like 2 hours and then checked herself into a mental institute.
Exactly.
So it all works out for the best.
So everything's fine. And then because all I had was spatula hands, I couldn't do my high-class typing job anymore, writing moments in court or anything. So I decided to teach ducks ballet, I remember, around that time.
I mean, because your feet were still the magnificent, beautiful, dancing angels that they once were.
Yes, my feet were physical angels. They had little wings on.
There were little wings on the side of them, yeah. I think we should have mentioned that in the origin story, that you've got angelic feet.
Well, whereas you got hit on the head with a coconut, I got hit on the foot with a mango. And obviously, whenever you get hit on the foot with a mango, they become angelic and godly. So I have magic feet.
Did both of your feet get hit by two separate mangoes? And it was at the same time or two separate occasions?
It was just one very big mango, and I was standing with my legs very close together because I was just standing, looking up and admiring the scenery.
But yes, as we all know, whenever you get hit in the foot, not anywhere else, just the foot.
Yeah, just the foot, with a giant mango.
And your feet alone get wings.
It's like the Red Bull advert.
Exactly. Mangoes give your feet wings.
Yes. That should be the new slogan. Yeah.
Yeah. But so your feet are now angelic. The rest of your body is still a sinful, disgusting mess.
Yes.
In fact, you actually feel kind of ashamed to be in the vicinity of your feet because they're just kind of glowing and they're just pure and perfect, whereas the rest of you is horrible and disgusting.
Yes.
You know, with your spatula hands and your charbroiled member. So you were teaching these ducks ballet.
Yes.
It was beautiful and endearing tale for the ages that would make anyone with a heart cry. So, I didn't care for it. But then busted through the door was the man, the fuzz, the potpourri, the boys in blue, but sometimes black, but sometimes other colours in other countries. The chain gang.
The chain gang? The chain gang? Who calls the police the chain gang?
The not naughty boys.
Not naughty boys. These all sound like terrible bands from the 80s.
Yes, you were captured and punished for the terrible, terrible, terrible crimes that you committed.
Yes.
Did you commit these crimes before or after we met?
It must have been after we met because... Yeah, this was a good few years later.
Because there was a few years, we were very close. We met each other. We discovered that we were each the one we were destined to meet our entire lives.
Yeah.
Then we went our separate ways for a few years, naturally. Like when you discover that you found the other half of your soul as appointed by the devil, you sometimes you just lose touch.
Yeah, we shrugged it off and thought, maybe one day.
And just sent each other a message once a year. Merry Christmas. Don't forget our glorious destiny, my brother. And that was it for a few years. But you committed these horrible, unspeakable crimes against a giraffe and Santa Claus, and the police punished you by implanting you with a device that makes you yell badger every 10 minutes for the rest of your life. And I'm just wondering, how has that been going for you?
It makes the podcast very hard to edit.
I know. I mean, it also makes it very annoying because you can't control. You have to actually set a timer on your phone for every 10 minutes of the day, so we know that we both have to stop talking and let you just
Yeah.
scream at the top of your lungs, Badger. And it's quite a prolonged scream. It's like Badger.
Yeah, but thankfully my sentence ended yesterday.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, so I haven't had to say that word. Like I can't even bring myself to say it because I've said it so much.
The sentence was less than one single year because this is the one-tennial. So this
Yeah.
is 1 year since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
That was like the third episode. They've sentenced you for 9 months and 32 days.
Yeah, that was exactly it. 9 months, 32 days. I don't know why they didn't just say 10 months, because there's no more than 31 days in a month. So saying 9 months and 32 days is insane. But that's what they gave me, so I had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was originally 9 months and it was originally 8 months and 32 days, but then you complained about the 32 days thing, so they added an extra month onto it.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't give the not naughty boys lip.
So a few weeks later, Nathan went on a cruise, the Titanic 2, and it sank, unfortunately.
Too Titanic, too furious.
Exactly. That's what they called the movie they made afterwards. And Nathan had the choice to save Dennis, ironically, the racist evil monster, or the pure and innocent Legs McBooty.
Who offered me sweets and candy and was like talking to all the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
And naturally, I threw her off the boat, climbed in with Dennis, ironically, talked to him about how we could be mutually beneficial to each other. And as we were rowing away, I pressed a remote detonator that exploded to the remains of the Titanic 2.
Just to make sure she was definitely
dead.
dead.
She was dead.
She is gone forever.
She dared to be nice and sweet and innocent in front of me, and that just made me angry.
Yeah. So then you got back, and Dennis, ironically, became the Prime Minister of the entire country.
I mean, it's hard to. He's kind of despite being a successful businessman, he's a blithering idiot that bumbles over every word, has terrible hair, and gets caught in lies every 10 seconds. Like, without even trying, you can catch him in a lie.
And you saved him.
And I saved him.
It's all your fault, Nathan.
He convinced 90% of the country to vote for him.
What was I doing?
Wow, you had quite the adventure. As we all know, as we've discussed, we had found each other. We were the ones we were destined to find. But even though we had found each other and connected our medallions, there was still a hole in your heart, and your parents saw that, and they knew that what they needed to do was arrange a marriage. Plus, they needed to protect the cashew nut empire that your family had built.
Yeah, by my family, you're talking about, of course, Sheila and Brian, the wolf people.
Oh yes, they had after adopting you, they thought, oh, we should actually learn something about human beings, and they left their nunnery where because they were wolves dressed as nuns. I just want to make sure people don't forget that.
Yeah.
They decided to leave the world of the cloth behind, and they started a successful cashew nut empire that somehow dates back generations, despite the fact that I've just explained that they invented it after you were born. They also invented time travel.
Exactly.
Yep, that completely makes sense. Everything is connected and makes 100% sense. Sheila and Brian decided that you needed to get married, and they found the perfect woman for you. Well, they found two perfect women, but you chose the perfect woman.
I did indeed. The beautiful, beautiful Beverly.
Beverly, oh God! Well, describe Beverly for us as the way only a man in love can.
Imagine blacks and yellows. Imagine thousands of tiny stingers. Imagine a constant buzz.
Oh my God! That is just a beautiful image. I mean, I think Carl has painted a wonderful image there of Beverly, the sentient swarm of bees that thinks it's a woman.
Yes, and that's who I married, and, to make my godzillions of dollars to keep up with you.
I made a deal with Dennis, ironically, and inherited a multinational corporation, the secretly racist Or Enterprises.
Of course. But now I had the Kashunade dynasty.
Oh yes, because Beverly the Bee Woman was her family was Orangeade,
Marmalade.
Marmalade.
Yes.
Beverly and her family were the inventors of marmalade.
Unfortunately, we stayed together about a week, and then she stung me far too many times.
Well, that's what you said, Kyle. But I've actually spoken to Beverly. I mean, I
What?
actually dated her for a while.
What?
While you were married.
What?
10 minutes after you were married, I met her in the shed around the back.
I think we're going to have to stop this
truth.
podcast. How dare you? How dare you sleep with my beautiful bee lady?
And she didn't sting me once.
She really loved that cow's head you were...
Oh my god, yeah. And we did it in a field, so just imagine a naked man with a cow's head with a million bees swarming around the head.
I can't think of anything more seductive.
No. Neither did the farming family that drove past and drove into a tree and caught fire.
So unfortunately, because of all that, I walked away from the Kashunade dynasty completely and started dating again. I
Your friend always believed in you, Carl, that you could that you could make it in the dating world, and it's her loss and my gain, and your loss.
But the thing is, I couldn't after that. It just any relationship wouldn't work for me. I would have the date with the person, and then I would just blow them off completely. I just could not stay in a relationship after that.
No one.
But then it was Christmas time, so I was like, who cares?
Yes.
It's Christmas. Let's have fun.
You were working in the kitchen, and I, for my many sins, was visited by the Krampus.
You was indeed, Nathan.
I was. And he punished me for, well, what I consider to be normal behaviour, but apparently murdering puppies and children.
And sleeping with other people's spouses.
No, it doesn't count. I mean, you married a swarm of bees, Carl. It doesn't stand up in a court of law.
Yeah, and you were forced to drink 2 pints of brandy sauce, I think, as a punishment.
Yeah, and I learned nothing from that experience, and I expect to see him again this Christmas.
No.
For my next punishment.
I had to work over Christmas, I remember.
You did. You were working in the kitchen, slaving away as the howling snow outside was tapping at the windows.
Yeah.
And your poor broken heart, you were consoling yourself in your work.
Yeah.
Where 2 of your exes, you tried to rebound following the experience with Beverly and how that relationship went wrong for God knows why. Things just go wrong for some reason. Like who can say how these things? But you rebounded with
who was there? There was Frankenstein's monster. I remember there was
Frankenstein's monster. You had rebounded with Frankenstein's monster and Kevin Plutonium, the radioactive reindeer.
Yes, and I had blown them both off through text, hadn't I?
Yeah,
the same way I had.
To your workplace to confront you about this behaviour. When a lightning bolt struck the broth that meat supplement number 5 that you were brewing, and you and Frankenstein's monster were body swapped, and the kitchen caught on fire. And finally, Kyle, you saw the one person, you in Frankenstein's monster's body, looked over at Frankenstein's monster in Kyle's body.
Yes.
You saw one person you could truly love and give your heart to.
Myself.
Yourself.
Yes.
So you walked away from the kitchen that was burning both because a lightning bolt struck it, and also a radioactive reindeer walked into the kitchen, which probably set fire to the room even before the lightning bolt, to be honest. And yeah, you walked away with all your co-workers screaming, God help us, why won't you help us, we're all going to die. But you walked off into the sunset, and I believe aliens invaded as well, and the sun exploded, but that's a tale for another time.
That's a tale for another time, Nathan, a tale for another time.
That's
the main takeaway from this is that I married myself, but I was in Frankenstein's monster's body.
You had to wait for the
It
divorce
was,
papers.
well, yeah. I had to wait for the divorce papers to come through, but once they did, me as Frankenstein married myself, and it was one of the most beautiful weddings you'll ever see.
It was. You couldn't get a priest to agree to marry you to. Well, he thought he was marry what he thought was Kyle to what he thought was a reanimated corpse, but really it was Kyle in a reanimated corpse's body marrying a reanimated corpse in Kyle's body. So
Yeah,
it all makes perfect sense. And this,
you.
I mean, now you no longer have a electric penis. The man that you
So
love does, but you don't.
yes, and he has spatula hands,
He
but
does,
I
which
am
is
now in.
endlessly, which leads to endless benefits in the bedroom. I've got to say,
Oh yes, definitely.
because I slept with him as well. I'm constantly hanging around waiting for the
So,
new man.
so
I,
basically, you slept
that's my
with some as Frankenstein who looked exactly like me.
that's my sexuality, Kyle. I'm attracted to people that you marry
Yep.
specifically
So unfortunately, again, I was single. Um,
through no fault of mine whatsoever.
yeah, I was a single guy who looked like Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster. I'm sorry, but then you obviously, after all of your adulterous
After I
ways,
seduced your husband with my beautiful cow's head.
yeah, everyone I marry is obsessed with cows. So, but then Nathan, it doesn't matter, and none of that matters because the week after that, you were rummaging around in a junk pile. You found the first issue of your favourite comic, Snot Boy and Onion Man, and you fell, and you actually merged with the comic and became Onion Man,
Yes,
which
again, perfectly logical. So my human body with a cow's head merged with a comic book and toxic waste, and I
yeah,
became Onion Man. So I was I was basically in a giant onion costume with a cow's head sticking out of it.
yeah, and that was beautiful. A lovely,
It
cute
was
little Onion Man.
a sight that would strike fear into criminals' hearts,
And
fear
you,
and mostly confusion.
yes, and you became
Like
a onion-based superhero.
there would be a mugging in the street, and suddenly the woman would go, "Oh, look over there!" And the criminals would turn around, and I'd be standing on a rooftop with the moonlight illuminating behind me, and they would go, "What the hell is that?"
I am Onion Man!
And well, that's what I thought I was saying, but actually I was going, "Moo moo moo moo." I was saying all these catchphrases like, "You shall feel the fury of justice," but really it was "moo."
But then, because I was Frankenstein's monster, I was very, very pale, and so I needed to go get a tan.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you were very, very pale. In fact, you were grey, and some of your
Yes.
skin was falling off.
Yeah,
So, and obviously, what to do when your skin is dead and literally falling off is go to a tanning salon.
exactly.
But you were a bit tired. It's been a hard few months for you. You know, two failed marriages
Yeah.
that went wrong for God knows what reasons. And I
And
mean,
unfortunately, this Frankenstein had narcolepsy as well.
oh yes, yeah, of course. Well, he didn't, but one of the brain parts that he stitched onto his brain did.
Yes. Yeah.
So you had partial narcolepsy that cut in at random times,
Yeah.
and you fell asleep in the tanning booth.
Yes.
Woke up a melted pile of dead flesh.
I did indeed. I was a blob. I was nothing
You were
more than a puddle.
puddle with two eyes, and because it was Frankenstein, the eyes were from two separate bodies, so two different coloured eyes.
Yes.
Because also, I think we didn't mention this, but you had a bit of good luck before that. You were going to be on the cover of We Ran Out of Time and Had to Pick the First Man We Saw monthly as the world's sexiest man, and you knew you had to go to that photo shoot, but you couldn't go as a giant blob. So you invented holographic technology and disguised yourself as the girl from The Ring
Yes.
and lived in a house full of mirrors. Because, as we established, you were already in love with yourself, married to yourself. So you loved sitting in your house, looking at all the mirrors, seeing your own face reflected multiple times. That was before. That was before you got with Frankenstein's monster's body.
Yeah, unfortunately now I was either a blob or if I was using my hologram I was the girl from the ring. So basically smashed all the mirrors in that house and left it completely.
You left the house.
Yeah, I became pretty much homeless except for the millions I had left in my bank from the Cashewnade dynasty.
Yes, of course. I mean, the millions you had in the duffel bag that you carried around with you. And when I say millions, we actually mean cashew nuts. That's how you pay for things. Because you're the Cashewnade king, you've got cashew nuts dipped in marmalade.
Well, you can do anything with cashew nuts. You can grind them up into a milk.
You can grind them up into milk.
Yes, you can drink milky cashew.
Well, that's a disgusting turn of phrase.
So Nathan, as Onion Man with a cow's head, was rolling down the hill one day when he fell into a rabbit hole. And in this rabbit hole, he met Mr. Winters is clearly his number one foe, but he met his second foe in the entire show, the super evil villain Cornelius Whiskers.
A tiny little rabbit in a waistcoat.
A tiny little rabbit in a waistcoat and a monocle. Basically, the only way to get out of this burrow is to take a potion that made himself incredibly large or incredibly small. So Nathan took the potion to make himself small. So then he became a very small onion man with a cow's head. And because he wanted to get his revenge, he decided to tackle and ride Cornelius Whiskers out of the underground cavern and into Orphan City to wage war, because it had been his dream this entire time to go to war with orphans. Like, ever since he got hit on the head with a coconut, he's wanted to kill orphans.
You said that Mr. Winters and Cornelius Whiskers are my two main foes, but I would disagree with you.
Yes, puppies and orphans are up there, but Cornelius Whiskers and Mr. Winters would probably try and stop you, so they're your most immediate threat.
Yeah, they're the ones that they're my nemesis that can actually fight back.
Yes.
Whereas all my other nemesis are completely helpless and unable to defend themselves in any way possible.
So Nathan rides off on this rabbit to wage war. What was I doing around that time? I know I was working in my lab because I bought that lab with all of my cashews.
You were working in a lab late one night. So you were in your lab wearing a white waistcoat, which on top of the hologram of the ring, they could wear clothes.
Yes, that was something because, we've established that I can build a holographic machine. I have bought my own lab. I have got
a machine when you don't technically have hands. You've had really bad luck with your hands. You had them replaced with spatulas, then you got new ones, then it was melted into a blob, but still we're able to build a holographic generator. I believe of an old Game Boy.
Yes, I don't think anyone can stop a scientific genius when they've got their mind set to something.
And that was why you were investigating the science of bouncing with your good friend Professor Tigger, and you bounced into the fourth dimension and ended up on the planet of the arses.
I did end up on the planet of the arses, funnily enough, in a brand new form.
You were in a brand new form.
Yeah, I remember I looked similar to what I used to look like originally, but much more handsome.
Oh yeah, I mean that as any scientist would explain, the effects of travelling through dimensions would transform you from a melted Frankenstein's monster disguised as a holographic girl from the ring back into what you used to be.
Just 10 times more handsome.
Yeah, so you're now passable.
I'm now passable, yeah. Yeah, 10 times more than nothing is still nothing. I remember that from an old episode.
But so you were now living on the planet of the arses, where you were surrounded by aliens who had arse faces.
I did. Whilst I was exploring the new planet of the arse people, you were probably wondering what Nathan was.
Well, also you took charge and went to war with the planet of the donkeys, which was next door.
Oh yes, I went to planet with the Donconians from the Donkey Planet.
You waged war on the Donconians.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing. So I was quite busy at that time. But Nathan, meanwhile, you're probably wondering what happened when he went to war with the orphans. So he got, unfortunately, he he killed most of them, but he
Oh,
got
it was so close.
so
It was like,
close, so close
it's
to
like
full-on
when you got one of
genocide.
those- yeah, it's like when you got one of those stamps to get a free cup of coffee. I
Yeah.
was like 5 out of 6 of murderous rampaging.
Yeah, this was more like 500 dead orphans out of 600.
I had a tally and everything, and I was ticking names off a list like a psychotic Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, you learned all of their names. You wanted to know specifically that they had feelings and were a real person before you killed them.
I mean, didn't we also establish that as a gnome-sized being, I smuggled myself into orphanages as Tickle Me Nathan and then murdered them?
You did indeed. That's how it started, and you just got even worse from there.
And then it led to full-on direct warfare.
Exactly. But yeah, no, you got captured by the police finally. Cornelius Whiskers escaped, he scampered off, and you were thrown into prison. And after a daring escape, and if anyone wants to go back and listen to it, it is the pinnacle of your life, this
Shout
great
out to
escape.
Boy William.
Yep, Nathan made this amazing escape, and that bird that eagle that he rescued when he was good, that paid off for him.
It did. It all worked out perfectly, and that's why no prison can hold me.
Exactly. I mean, after my fight against the Donconians, I used the Donconians' technology to travel back to Earth. So I ended up back on Earth using this technology, but I was, when you travel through dimensions, you turn up completely naked, as everyone knows.
Oh, absolutely. Like scientific documentary Terminator. It's very similar technology, time travel, dimension hopping. It's the same thing.
Exactly. And I was incredibly in need of ice cream, I remember at the time. So I started hitchhiking, ironically, which you'll find out why later. I started hitchhiking.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I started hitchhiking, and finally some moron pulled over, and I did the Grand Theft Auto thing where I yanked them out the car and take their position and started driving. But then, do you want to tell them the ironic thing about that, Nathan?
I mean, you're never going to believe what happened. You ran over a hitchhiker. Well, we say hitchhiker. It was actually the person who was originally driving the car who ended up having to hitch, because you did drive around in a circle for about 3 hours, so you ended up going backwards.
The thing is, interdimensional travel does mess with your brain a bit, and you don't really know where you are when you come back.
Yeah, that's what you told the police.
But for some reason, they thought I was a woman. I think all I had on me...
Again, interdimensional travel clearly makes people look like women.
Yeah.
Are you still naked, or do you steal this guy's clothes?
No, I'm still naked at this point, I think.
So even though that you're naked, they still thought you were a woman.
I think the thing is, when I did jump to the Arsonian universe, I was me, an incredibly handsome version of me, but I did have breasts and female genitalia.
Oh, of course, we didn't mention that because
we didn't mention that. I didn't think it was worth mentioning, to be honest.
No, you're right.
So yeah, I'm back. The police arrest me and throw me into a female prison.
I believe in Texas.
Was it in Texas? I don't remember. My brain was so addled back then. I just cannot remember.
You eventually escape with the baddest bitch in the prison.
Oh, yes. The top bitch.
Wouldn't you, to add coincidence to coincidence?
Yeah, so many coincidences.
Yes, that woman turned out to be the wife of the hitchhiker / mugging victim.
Yeah. So I had really, really hurt her husband by first stealing his car, then picking him up. No, by first stealing his car, then turning back around and hitting him.
Did you remain naked the whole time, or did you steal his clothes and make him naked?
I stole his clothes, but I remained naked as well. I was just flaunting it.
You made him naked, but you refused to wear the clothes.
Yeah, they didn't really fit me. They were a size 12 and I was 11, so...
Oh, of course. So you murdered a naked man on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You ran him over.
So yeah, she wanted her revenge.
So she pulled a knife out of her gut.
She did.
Stabbed you.
Yes, and then I lay bleeding out.
I believe you were dead for 20 minutes.
That's what the doctors tell me.
But,
20 minutes.
But when in the darkness you heard a voice saying, your work isn't done yet. And you came
Yes,
back.
I did indeed, and I woke up in the hospital. But we'll cut away, and we'll go over to what you were up to around this point. So where did
Oh,
we leave you? You
I
were
had escaped from the maximum security penitentiary,
you
and I
had
was on run, hiding in my amazing disguise of
various disguises, I
my
remember.
various guises, my fruit hat, my At this point, I still have a cow's head?
You still have a cow's head, don't you?
Oh my god, I'm a gnome that was in prison.
You're a very tiny onion man with a
I was
cow's head.
put into the smallest iron chains imaginable.
Yeah,
When I said it was a giant eagle that saved me, it was actually a
it was
normal
just an eagle. Yeah.
eagle. It's just giant to me now.
Yeah, like a lot of the guards you got past by crawling under their legs.
But because I'm so small, the hat is all you can see. I've cut two holes so I can see through the hat. I'm just one of those fruit hats walking along the floor.
Yeah, and there's
That's
nothing.
my disguise. Reading a newspaper.
And I remember around this time, because you had just broken out of prison, you were celebrating a lot by drinking in a lot of bars and getting very drunk. And I remember you wanted to get a tattoo, didn't you? Obviously, I was in hospital, recovering. But I remember you telling me that you wanted to get a tattoo on your brain. I think it was.
I did, and I wanted to get a tattoo of the person who's inspired me most in my life, the person that I can relate to the most and think has taught me the most.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh yeah, Postman Pat. Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely not you. And I went to the friendly local tattoo artist whose name I definitely remember, and definitely don't need Carl to tell me. But
what, Kevin
sorry,
McCready?
I mean, it's so rude of you to talk over me then, Kyle. But
sorry.
Kevin McCready, and I wandered into his tattoo shop, and at first he didn't see me because I was literally less than knee high.
I mean, he was in an alleyway. You say tattoo shop. This is very.
He's in an alleyway with a cardboard box with tattoo shop.
Oh, okay. I thought you were embellishing, but no. Continue, please.
I walked up to him and kind of had to tap him on the ankles.
Yes.
And then he looked down, and he wasn't surprised at all that I was a tiny little gnome with a cow's head
In an Onion Man suit.
in an onion man suit. Oh yes, I mean, I still had my amazing onion man powers, which, funnily enough, I decided not to use those amazing superpowers to escape from prison. I just thought it would be too easy. I decided to not use those powers to escape from prison. So I walked up to Kevin McCready and asked for the tattoo of Postman Pat on my brain. And he obviously saw no problems with this whatsoever. A gnome walking up to him in an alleyway asking for a tattoo on his brain. It's a normal Friday night for him.
And but unfortunately, Nathan, something went wrong during the procedure. I don't know why something would go wrong whilst you were getting a tattoo on your brain.
His needles were too big for my tiny little head.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, because usually
tattooing normal-sized people on the brain.
And you ended up deaf, didn't you?
I did end up deaf, and I'm only responding to this because I've learned sign language and because you're wildly swinging your arms around in what I can only describe as a beautiful ballet of motion and words.
Well, I do know ballet, as you know. I taught ducks. Yeah, I mean, that's why we were brought together with those pendants, because they knew that we would...
I'm now dragging that pendant around like it's a giant stone that's attached to me.
And then, obviously, I woke up just having recovered from being stabbed in the gut. And wouldn't you know, what's the first thing that I did, Nathan? What was the first thing I did when I got out of hospital?
Yeah, you had just recovered from your murder, and you had just recovered from your murder, and you were skipping through town, not a care in the world, when you knocked over an old woman, and not just any old woman, because that would have been absolutely fine.
That would have been fine, yeah.
Absolutely fine. We encourage our listeners to do it, actually. But it happened to be a witch.
Always the way.
It is always the way. And she cursed you, Kyle. She cursed you to tap dance whenever you hear someone moan. And because you live in Britain, that means you are cursed to tap dance for all eternity.
Yes.
Even when you die, your corpse would be tap dancing. When your family go to the grave and go, "Oh, it's so annoying that Kyle died," you would literally burst up from the ground and start tap dancing.
So
your great-great-grandchildren are dragged to to the grave. He's like, oh, why do we have to visit this guy that we never even met? Up comes the dancing skeleton.
Exactly. I would be a Ray Harryhausen masterpiece.
And at this point, they're used to it. Like, this has been happening for generations. They're like, oh, it's our great-great-great-great-grandfather's immortal dancing skeleton again. Can't he do anything original?
But while I'm alive, I was like, I cannot tap dance everywhere I am, because, you know, where I live, people moan all the time. So I thought I would go back to that cabin where I was stabbed and live out my life alone.
Because you'd just been murdered there.
Yeah, I got it very cheap.
In fact, you turned up, and the person who owned it, who found your dead body, was kind of, let's say, surprised, as a general term, to see you.
Yeah, the guy who was murdered in it that made it super cheap is the same guy who's buying it so that he can be alone. So yeah.
We've established you're rich because you're a cashew-made fortune.
Oh yes, definitely.
As we've already established, you have a giant duffel bag filled with cashew nuts dipped in marmalade, which you use to pay for everything.
Yeah, and I gave this guy...
how much did it cost? How many cashew nuts in marmalade did it cost?
My entire duffel bag. I was wiped out by this.
A fortune. The cashew empire is no more.
It is no more. So, yeah, I ended up as me, but more handsome, with a woman's body, living in this cabin, alone, and having to tap dance. Even if I had thoughts about moaning, I would have to tap dance.
Literally, you look like you, but with a woman's body.
I do now, yes. Well, I did at this point in time, yes.
That is the most attractive image I've ever had.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So you have now secluded yourself into this cabin, but every now and then you moan yourself. You're like, oh, I'm out of milk. I'm going to have to travel for 10 weeks to get to the nearest village to buy some milk.
Exactly. And then I start tap dancing all the way there.
And you moan about tap dancing, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So yes, you are tap dancing away. I am now a tiny gnome with a cow's head in an onion man in a giant onion costume.
Yes.
Anything else happened to me? Oh, and I've got a tattoo on my brain, and I'm deaf. I've got a tattoo on my brain, and I'm deaf.
So I am a handsome version of myself with a woman's body in a cabin in the woods where I was previously stabbed by someone who I had run over their husband.
So now you are actually a woman, and you are tap dancing away in a cabin in the woods.
Yes. And you, Nathan, you are a very tiny onion man with a cow's head, and you're still on the run from the law at this point.
And I'm deaf.
And you're deaf.
But I have a tattoo of Postman Pat on my brain.
You do have a tattoo of Postman Pat on your brain.
It's all been worth it. Everything I've done in my life has led to this moment, and I think it was worth it.
I mean, this to me, Nathan, sounds like a massive cliffhanger. Like, you're on the run from the law. What am I going to do? I'm in a
cliff. Your cabin is on a cliff.
My cabin itself is on a cliff, so I'm literally on a cliffhanger.
Yes, and you're tap dancing so much there is starting to be a bit of an avalanche.
Yeah, there is.
The cabin drifting towards the edge of the cliff.
If I tap dance anymore, I'm gone. And if you get caught, that's the end of you, because they're just going to execute you on the spot. So
you have to build the world's tiniest guillotine.
They will. So
or a tiny little electric chair, like it's a doll's playhouse chair that they've attached to a car battery.
Oh, a mini execution. That's like kids playing execution. That's adorable.
Build your own executioner set.
So I think because that seems... I
sentence you to death. Yay!
So I think because that seems so cliffhangery, Nathan, we should just end here, and we're going to have to make this a two-parter for the folks.
We shall. So it shall be continued.
It's to be continued, and people are going to be on the edge of their seats because they're going to have to wait 2 weeks for this now.
They are. They're going to wonder what's going to happen, even though we're actually recapping all the previous episodes.
Yeah. Well, this is for new fans, I guess, this episode.
Yeah, this is the jumping on period where this is to make everything make sense and definitely connect everything together and just be logical and make sense and continuity.
Yes, continuity is key. And if you disagree with anything we said today, then you can let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the episode, then please follow and subscribe to the podcast on Patreon. You can find it at patreon.com/ifyouhadto, though. You can find all the newest episodes episodes with more being posted up all the time. You can follow me on Twitter at Kyle M. Bennett. That's Kyle_M_Bennett with 2 N's and 2 T's.
And you can follow me at N Wozniak Art, which is N for Nathan, WOZNIAK Art on Twitter. And you can follow me on Instagram under my name, Nathan Wozniak, which is my name, which is spelled the same, WOZNIAK, because that's my name. That's how you spell my name. That's my name.
Do you want to say your name one more time? Name.
That's my catchphrase. That's my name.
That's my name. I thought your name was, and that's a spicy situation.
That's not my name. That's my catchphrase.
Oh.
I thought your name was, hello, I'm, nice to meet you. That's a spicy situation. Do you, Lady Macbeth, want to marry, and that's a spicy situation.
I do. And to you, it's a spicy situation. To marry.
I say yes with maracas.
So there you go. Cliffhanger, everybody. Tune in next week to find out the thrilling conclusion.
We are done.
Done, 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 done.
Done.
This has been If You Had To, though. I've been Kyle.
And I have always been Nathan.